Hi, today I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes into my Masterclass All Access Pass area. So if you're thinking about getting the All Access Pass, you're not sure if it's for you, let's have a little sneak peek, let's have a little preview. You can see what it looks like, or maybe you think just a single class is for you. Most Masterclass reviews are going to talk about the instructors, the production value, the cost, and who the Masterclasses are for. I'm going to deal with that as well, but I'm actually going to show you inside the All Access Pass area. So for me it was a bit of a no-brainer because it was about $15 a month for an All Access Pass, which is about $180 a year, as opposed to buying a single class, which was $90. So when I first signed up to Masterclass a few years back, my first class was Aaron Sorkin teaching screenplay writing, I did buy single classes. I think I bought 3 or 4 one-off single classes, and then I got the All Access Pass because I thought this is crazy. I might as well just, have access to everything. Because I think at the time of recording they have about 75 instructors. I myself have reviewed 41 classes. I've actually been in more than that, but I've tried to rank them. So if you want to go to benjaminmcavoy.com, you can see my rankings. And but you know what? Let's just dive right in now. Okay, so this is inside my little All Access Pass area for Masterclass. So you can see the recent classes that I've been taking. You can see Doris Kearns Goodwin there. She was teaching presidential history. See Neil deGrasse Tyson. These are the new ones at time of writing. And you can see Chris Voss. And I got to tell you, I didn't put him in my rankings of 41 masterclasses because I wrote that a little time ago, and this one's just come out. But Chris Voss teaches the art of negotiation. Is one of the best masterclass I've taken, hands down. We'll just click it and you can kind of see what sort of subjects he talks about. Alright, yeah, tactical empathy, mirroring. If you don't know who Chris Voss is, he's one of the top FBI hostage negotiators in the world, and this is just the best class for learning persuasion, learning how to talk to people, learning how to get what you want. It's unbelievable. I particularly liked, you can see this module here, the Chase Manhattan bank robbery case study. Chris Voss gave us a never before seen or never before heard tape recording of his phone call with a bunch of hostage takers who kidnapped some people in a bank, and you can see all the different techniques that he teaches you, like mirroring and like pacing different tones of voice in it. I watched that 3 times and showed a few different people. It was amazing. But let's just go back. You can see some of the other courses. Dave Sedaris, he's a new one. I haven't really started him yet, but I'm looking forward to that. Doris, by the way, she was really interesting. If you're into presidential history, she's a great class. Neil deGrasse Tyson, here's the thing. This is why I want to show you the All Access Pass, and this is why I think the All Access Pass is a good investment. He wasn't good as a one-off. So I wouldn't have been too happy. I think his class wasn't very long either. I wouldn't have been too happy if I paid $90 just for him. However, as part of a suite, as a part of a whole thing, great. Yeah, it was a nice little bonus. Obviously, well, not obviously because you might not know this, but the reason I signed up for the All Access Pass is if we look at categories here, I'm primarily a writer. And if you look at who they've got on the writing roster, you got Neil Gaiman, Dan Brown. Dan Brown, by the way, along with Neil Gaiman, they are contending for my top spot for best masterclass. They were just phenomenal. You got Margaret Atwood, R.L. Stein, who was so much fun, the Goosebumps guy, Malcolm Gladwell, Judy Blume, David Mamet, Dave Sedaris, Joyce Carol Oates, she teaches the art of the short story. Her class was very good. David Baldacci, he was very good. Billy Collins teaching poetry, very good. James Patterson, another one of my favourite masterclasses, and he teaches you how to write a novel. Anyway, so that's why I went into the All Access Pass, because I thought, you know what, as a writer, this is just gold. Obviously, there are some other categories you can check out. You've got film and TV. I think if you're a filmmaker, brilliant value for money. You've got David Lynch, who wasn't as good as I thought he would be, but I still enjoyed him. You got Jodie Foster, Werner Herzog, one of my favourites. He is just nuts. His class is amazing. Mira Nea, she's good. Ken Burns is one of my favourites, easily. His class actually made me cry a couple times. Amazing stuff. Very long as well. Natalie Portman was good. She teaches acting. Spike Lee was okay. Judd Apatow, okay. Helen Mirren, phenomenal. Really good. I'd have been very happy if I got her class as a one-off. I would have paid $90 easily for that. I would have paid $90 just for her modules on Shakespeare. They were phenomenal. Ron Howard, another one of my favourites. There were several modules where they just show you how to film a scene, but from different technical points, different standpoints, like depending on what your role in the movie is. This was worth its weight in gold for anyone who's making films. Sam Jackson was a lot of fun. He taught acting. Scorsese, I looked forward to him. He wasn't as good as I thought he could be, but I particularly liked when he broke down his favourite movies. So like we sit down with Scorsese and we're watching scenes from like Hitchcock, movies like that, and directors like that, and that was a lot of fun. Shonda Rhimes, she was one of the first masterclasses I got. She teaches writing for television. That was great. That was a really good one. And Aaron Sorkin, my first one, he was very good as well. So obviously, if you're a writer or if you're in film in any capacity, I think All Access Pass it's like your film school, your writing school, all in one. It is fucking good value for money. Other categories, obviously they got a lot of chefs, okay? You got this dude, James Suckling, teaching wine appreciation. Thomas Keller was great. Gordon Ramsay was great. You got Alice Waters, Wolfgang Puck, and a few others. So some great categories, sports, business, design, all that stuff. Now let's go down a little bit. Yeah, okay, as I said, Joyce Carol Oates, she was great. Now if you want to learn to write short stories, this might be the best class anywhere, definitely on the internet. Baldacci was a lot of fun. Penn and Teller teaching magic, that was good fun as well. Billy Collins, as I said, yeah, Neil Gaiman. So let's just take a little look inside Neil Gaiman, for example. You see what it looks like. So you've got the lesson plan here. Masterclass all follows the same sort of formula. Something that is always the same with Masterclass is the production value is always phenomenal. You'll watch the introduction and it will feel like you're watching like this exhilarating movie. Like you get sucked in really well. There's been a couple of times where a class has come out and I'm just about to go to bed. And I put it on, I'm like, it's only going to be 5 minutes, so just to see what's going on. And I end up binging a lot of it and staying awake way too late. So these are very watchable. So if you've got the class, you could easily replace your Netflix with this, and you don't need to feel as guilty for streaming some entertainment because it's educational as well. Okay, so let's have a look. So like, you can see what a typical running length for a module is. You see 20 minutes here. That's pretty standard, I'd say. Most masterclasses are around 3 to 4 hours on average. There are a few exceptions that spring to mind. One of them is Daniel Negreino's poker masterclass, and the other is Gary Kasparov's chess masterclass. Both were around 8 hours, if I remember rightly. They stand out in my mind because they're two of my favourites of all time. Really love both of them and learned a lot specifically from the Kasparov chess masterclass. I actually have really good memories for that. I used to use that masterclass as a way to decompress. At the end of the day, I'd just sit down after some work and I'd get my chess.com account up and I'd get one lesson from Kasparov's class and then I'd immediately put into practice what I learned. It was so much fun. Okay, let's have a look. So we can see there's a module called Finding Your Voice, and Neil Gaiman there, he's going to talk for about 15 minutes. There is dialogue and character, it's about 25 minutes. So yeah, you can see on average modules are around 20 minutes-ish. Let's see what else you can get. Alright, so another great thing about Masterclass is you get a workbook. Some of them are really good, we'll download that one. Some of them are a bit thin, so on the courses that are a bit thin, the workbook's like 20 pages, but on the ones that are more involved, that have like higher running times and are my favourite, they're a bit bigger. For example, you can see this Gaiman workbook is about 94 pages and it's very well put together. It's the sort of thing where you'd be happy to buy this as a product itself. Like if you went into a bookstore and you want a book on how to write, this would be a great book. I'm not going to show you the whole thing obviously, but you can have a look at how they're kind of structured. So already you can see small font and many pages, so that's a lot of information. Let's see, so this is one module, and this, the way they structure it, it's usually like a recap, but also adding more information to what you've already learned. And then the great thing here is you get like assignments to do. So it might be something you have to read or explore, or it might be something you have to write or put together. So for writers, you've got a book list, and then you've got writing exercises, one for a novel that you're actually working on, and then another one which is just like a general writing exercise, as you can see here. So if you can look through just quickly, you can see this is a really nice little booklet. It's a nice little thing. Let's have a look at some of the other courses, some of the other masterclasses in the All Access Pass area. You've also got Howard Schultz, he was good. He did a business masterclass. He's the CEO of Starbucks. He was very interesting. Again, it wouldn't be something that I'd want to pay a one-off for, but having the all access pass, even if you're just like, oh, I only want the writers, still good value. But then something like that comes along and you're like, you know what, I've got the pass anyway, might as well dip in, and you get a lot out of it. It's really good. Jodie Foster, she was good. Carlos Santana, he was a lot of fun. Last year I thought I was going to pick up the guitar again, and so I liked listening to him, and I liked Tom Morello. Tom Morello, who has easily one of the best masterclasses. So if you want to learn guitar, I'd learn it from him. He's a very good teacher. Who else we got? Jimmy Chin, he's great. All right, so there's 2 main photography masterclasses at this time. There's Annie Leibovitz and there's Jimmy Chin. Annie's isn't that good. I know she's a great photographer, but I didn't think that she could teach as well as she could actually express herself in art. Jimmy Chin, however, wow. I mean, if you want to learn photography, specifically adventure photography, he's we'll go inside and have a little look at what his looks like. You learn about like portraits, natural light, concept research, shooting and editing, all that sort of thing. And again, you've got like a little class workbook. Let's check that out. And here's another thing as well you might be interested in. There's something known as the community. And you go in, and this is where you can talk with like-minded people. If you're enrolled in a photography class, you're going to meet other photographers. Maybe you can collaborate and go have a shoot together or something. Some parts of the community are better than others. Like if you're a writer or a filmmaker, there's a lot of conversation going on. It's really rich. Others are probably not so much. I haven't used this as much as I probably should. Okay, here's the Jimmy Chin workbook. You see 89 pages. It's pretty good. And it's a deep dive. It's a deeper dive into the lessons than what you'd get in the video modules. Not that I'm saying the video modules are dry or light, because they're not. It really depends on the instructor and the course. So let's have a look at a few others. We've got Jimmy here. He was good. Who else we got? Dan Brown. Okay, I already mentioned he's fantastic. Paul Krugman, I haven't bothered with him. I mean, if you know anything about that sort of thing, probably you might think the same. Dave Axelrod and Carl Rove. Yeah, that was interesting if you're into politics. Tom Morello, as I've said, he's a good one. Gordon Ramsay. Now, the thing I loved about Gordon Ramsay's one is he got me cooking some really tasty stuff. I followed along with 3 or 4 of his recipes. He's actually got 2 masterclasses, and I think it's in the second one where he came up with it was a tuna dish, and oh my god, it was so delicious, and I had a lot of fun putting it together. Easily one of the most fancy things I've ever made. I also really liked making a Wolfgang Puck recipe. That was a steak recipe. That was delicious. I did quite a bit with Thomas Keller and Alice Waters as well. I know there's a few other chefs. Haven't got into them just yet because they're like pastry chefs and barbecue and stuff like that. But if you're into cooking, then again the pass is great, and it makes a good gift as well. If you know someone who is either a writer, a filmmaker, designer, cook, whatever, you don't know what to get them, this is a very good gift. Ken Burns, he's a documentary filmmaker. His is one of my favourite masterclasses and very, very emotional. And the thing about these masterclasses is, so in a lot of them you will learn specific techniques and it is a real lesson. But in a lot of them, you're just learning about the process from a master who's had a long career, and sometimes that can get really emotional and really affecting. And Ken Burns' class was easily one of the most emotional masterclasses I've taken, and it was wonderful. If you're into filmmaking at all, in any capacity, that's a must-watch. Margaret Atwood was pretty good. She was good for writing. Natalie Portman was a lot of fun. If you're an actor or an actress, she's good. As I've said, Daniel with the poker class, he was great. Spike I wanted a bit more from, but he was still good. Chris Hadfield was another one of my favourites, and he teaches all about space, which is something that my mind doesn't really work scientifically or mathematically, so this stuff usually goes over my head. But he was a fantastic teacher, and I learned a lot, and I was really entertained by it. The funny thing about some of these classes is they're just not only are they educational, but they're just some of the best produced documentaries and lectures, if you could call them lectures, but the best produced edutainment, if that's a word, that you can find anywhere. It's just great. It's top notch. Judd Apatow teaching comedy. Steve Martin was better, I thought, personally. If you want to learn comedy, Steve Martin was good. Judd was alright. Malcolm Gladwell, yeah, the thing is about Malcolm is, I always want a little bit more from his books than what he delivers, but his writing tips are great, and he's very, very good as a teacher, and he taught some things that I've not seen in a lot of writing instructions, writing books. Thomas Keller, great cook and great teacher. Wolfgang Puck was good. As I said, Helen Mirren was fantastic. Ron Howard was fantastic. Bob Woodward was good if you're into that sort of, I don't know, political writing, journalism, that sort of thing. He's a good teacher. Judy Bloom, yeah, she was good as well for writing. That was another quite emotional class in some areas. Scorsese, good. It's Scorsese. Gary, he was fantastic. Now here's a class that I know isn't that popular. Dr. Jane Goodall, and she's talking about like conservation and all that sort of thing, environmentalism. And I think it's such a shame that this isn't more popular. I think, I don't know anyone who's enrolled in this one, but if I could tell somebody to pick a class that is a bit, you know, not something they might instinctively go towards, like one of the writing ones, go for that one. That's really interesting and a very useful class. I think the great thing about MasterClass is it's educational in the most entertaining ways, and so I would like to see teachers utilise this in their lessons. Like there are plenty, like the Chris Hadfield, Jane Goodall, you could have some really good classes and you could get students enthralled in their lessons with these classes. Maybe that's something MasterClass might think of. They might partner with some, like, I don't know, institutions, some educational institutions at some point. That would be a very good shout. Diane von Furstenberg, haven't taken hers, it's a design class. Hans Zimmer was good. There's good musical instructors, but I haven't really reviewed them, you know, people like Deadmau5, because that's not my realm. I was interested in Hans because I like the idea of learning about story, and I wanted to learn about it from a different realm than a writer. Like a musician might give you ideas about character and story that are a bit more nuanced or a bit different, and I did learn. Dustin Hoffman, he's acting. I actually haven't got into him. Yet. Shonda was great, Aaron was great, and what's also good is you can be invited to these live Q&As, and I listened in while Aaron was answering one of the live ones. I also listened in while R.L. Stein was answering questions live, which was awesome. Steve Martin was fantastic. David Mamet was pretty good, and Werner was one of my favourites. Yeah, you've also got R.L. Stein, Patterson. All right, and then we can look at what other classes there are. Let's have a little look. Some ones that I haven't enrolled in. Got Bobby Brown, that's the new one. She teaches makeup. You've got Will Wright teaching game design. You've got Mark Jacobs teaching fashion design. You've got Frank Geary teaching architecture. Sports. Again, I haven't really gone into the sports. That's not my thing. But you've got Steph Curry teaching basketball. Serena Williams, Misty Copeland doing ballet. You've got gymnastics. You've got more poker strategy. And what else you got? There's plenty here. That's what I'm saying. So there you have it. That was a little sneak peek behind the scenes into my Masterclass All Access Pass area. Now you know kind of what it looks like. If that looks like something you're interested in, then I put a link in the description below so you can check out the All Access Pass. If you need a bit more convincing, maybe you want to see the different rankings. They're personal though. You could go to another link in the description at my website benjaminmcavoy.com, and you'll see me stack up and review 41 different masterclasses. Not every single masterclass I've taken is in there and it needs to be updated, but you can still get a good sense of which are the best classes to go for. Maybe you just want a one-off class. But honestly, if you're thinking about just getting one class, if there's one class you're interested in, I would personally say it's worth paying a little bit extra so you get access to everything, because it's really well put together. It's a really nice educational suite. It's entertaining. It's great for sharing with friends or family. You can sit down together and you watch it and you learn. There's a lot of applicable, practical stuff in there. It's just great. To be honest, I'd say it's one of the best, if not the best, online purchases that I've made ever. I mean, there's maybe a couple others that also spring to mind, but definitely Masterclass is a great one. I'd say give it a test run. I think they have a money-back guarantee of 30 days, so even if you don't like it, you can just, you know, no harm, no foul. But I think you'll love it. I think you'll get addicted to it, and I'd love to hear what you think of it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the All Access Pass, and have a good day.